The explanation I received when I was diagnosed with polycythemia vera. Mind you, when I got my diagnosis, I had been going through a lot and I didn't know what was wrong. I knew I was very frustrated, right? So when I went in and he had my test results, actually, my husband was busy that day and he usually goes to my doctor appointments. He's really good at remembering all the things and getting things kind of sorted. He didn't go that day. So I went in and the doctor gave me a very serious look and he said, "You have polycythemia vera, this is a bone marrow disorder, and with that it is a blood cancer," and went on, right? And I'll get back to how he explained it, but I was with utter relief and I said, I knew it, right? Because my husband had already researched it, looked into it, and he's like, "I bet you have polycythemia vera," right? And the doctor I'd seen before, who finally referred me to this one, said it looks like it and it's kind of scary, you know? So anyhow, so when he explained it to me, he said, essentially, my bone marrow is making so many more red blood cells. So it's like, say a person made 1 million red blood cells and then the body's like, okay, we got enough, we're good. Mine would make like 5 million and be like, we got to keep going. And keep going, and there just isn't a shut-off valve, essentially, in the bone marrow to make these red blood cells, and they just keep going on, right? And then he said, he went on about how, it's making all of these, but then he said it was interesting because they have to diagnose you with one of three under the MPN, Myeloproliferative Neoplasms. And he said I had polycythemia vera, essential thrombocythemia, or myelofibrosis. This one was ruled out, this one's essentially like scarring of the bone marrow. But I had very high platelets along with the high red blood cells. And so he said, when you have the two, one will actually rule out the other. So even though I had the really high platelets, because I had the high red blood cells, that one was ruling out the essential thrombocythemia, and I had the polycythemia vera. That was an interesting breakdown. It was very simple, to the point. He actually drew me some diagrams, and I was able to bring them home to my husband. It was cute. He did it kind of like a machine going on and producing, And I was able to bring it home to my husband, and he'd already pretty much known all of that. And it was a very basic and simple explanation. We did not go over the mutation. I mean, he said he was testing for it and it was there, but he didn't explain to me anything of that. We didn't go over anything really deep, just the very basics of this is the definition of polycythemia vera. You have an MPN, we see that, you have the JAK2, that's defined. So within these three, under this umbrella, we're going to go with this. And this is why you don't have this one. And this is why you don't have this one. And because it's a ruling out, you do have this one. And it was pretty short and simple. And it just didn't complicate the matter. And I think that's something people need to just kind of have the basics. And then once they have the basics, then go deeper. But that was my explanation. I wanted to keep it really short, simple, and basic for everyone. That's what I heard when I first heard about it. I know that it can get much deeper, and I'll probably do something so it is a little more deep, but there's your basic one for you, polycythemia vera.